just trying to change the world here, people.
Oh, really?
The Facebooking and the tweeting and the Instagramming, all that would not exist without our understanding of science.
It's amazing how you do that as an insult.
You mean true for you is different from true for anybody else?
Yeah,
Something to
absolutely,
true for you.
because I can't
Something's
prove-
either got to be true or not.
I can't, no.
Welcome, everyone, to ORly Radio Show. Show number 8 for Friday, May 30th, 2014. And we've got a full house tonight. I'm Andy. Let's go do a Mouseketeer sound-off.
That's Andy. I'm David.
I'm Mike.
I'm N.
And I'm Don.
A-N-N, no E.
And that's Don, D,
Well.
and not D-A-W-N, or other things like that. But you can always check the show notes at ORlyRadio.com. Anyway, moving on. So, we don't have anything, any errata from last week. I guess we did okay. Nobody called me out on anything.
Amazing.
Yeah, it works out.
People do.
Let's see. So, science and technology.
People gotta call you out on stuff? Is that right?
It happens occasionally, and you know I welcome this.
Oh.
Please call us. Send us email, rant to us, do whatever you want. We now are. Oh, actually, I guess there is a errata because there's stuff that I did in between last show and this show. So we now have a YouTube channel.
Boom.
Yes, we are also now on Tumblr.
Ta-da!
And we also have a subreddit category just for us so that we can vote stories up and down, have user submission, and really get some decent involvement. So we really want to take it up to the next level, and that involves everyone out there in listener land. So please, yes, go out to ORlyRadio.com, ORly. RADIO.com, and all the links are right up at the top little banner. Even if you're on mobile, it's there. So you can go check out everywhere that we are. I've also updated the Google Plus page. So yes, we're pretty much everywhere now. And no, I'm not doing MySpace because it's just irrelevant.
Oh, it's funny.
Tom is not your friend.
I forgot my password like 6 years ago, so I'm never going back.
I never had one.
You're young.
I had one before there was Facebook.
I'm not that young. It was a thing when I was in high school.
That's
Really?
how Don met on freaking MySpace.
Really? I didn't know this. Oh, okay. Nice little tidbit of knowledge there. All
I
right.
like your profile. I said, yeah, right.
Not sure how I'm going to use that against you later, but I'll figure it out. So, Google is steadily becoming...
Dominating.
Oh,
I, for one, welcome our Google overlords.
super intelligence, Skynet.
Skynet, yeah. They are Cyberdyne.
Google Dine.
Amazingly enough, there are companies out there named Cyberdyne, and there's another company out there named Skynet. And it's like, have you not read any fiction? Do you not
We're
see
seeing
the writing on the wall?
popular Hollywood movies from the 80s.
And, I mean, Skynet is in control of the media. Just not in this country.
Yeah, it's true.
It's in control, man.
Yeah.
Not in this country yet.
They're
Not only
switch and make stuff happen.
exactly. So in our previous shows, we were talking about the D-Wave quantum computer that Lockheed has been playing with, and whether or not it's actually a real quantum computer and all that fun stuff. Well, guess what? Google has one too. So
Yes, why wouldn't they?
well, they're reaching the limits of what can be done with silicon more so than any other company on the planet, because they literally have millions of computers that are all linked into the giant network. Millions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that.
So they want them to obviously perform better and use less power. Of course, this big D-Wave computer is it's a giant square refrigerator. So, and it's it's approaching absolute zero because they're trying to get it super cold. But you know what? They're not anywhere further along than anyone else that's playing with one of these. In fact, even the engineers at D-Wave don't really know what it does or how it does it.
That's awesome.
Honestly, that's the kind of company that I want to work for.
Yes, please.
I don't know what it does.
We don't really know what he does over there in that cubicle, but you know, things are getting done.
I like when they call
It has something to do with quantums.
That's right. His middle name is Quantum, so it has something to do with quantum. It's really weird. But what they're trying to do is optimize their data centers through machine learning. So they're kind of putting into algorithms how things are operating, basic power flow, utility usage, because they all operate giant chiller plants at each one of these data center facilities around the country. So they're using just a buttload of power.
Yeah. I like
I don't
that.
know how many BTUs a buttload is, but it's a lot of power.
Yeah.
So
And then they're using a little bit more to figure out how to use less.
yeah, that's true. They're using an awful lot more on the D wave. But you know, they gotta have the room for the cute little self-driving cars that they're doing. Have you seen those?
They're adorable.
Somebody put up a picture that it's like the little tyke car. You know, the little tyke.
The smart car.
The red and yellow roofed little tyke.
It's just they're so fucking. They look like little roller skates. They're so fucking cute.
They are.
Yeah.
And of course, they have no steering wheel and no pedals.
They have a go button though.
A go button, and you just kind of say, "Take me here, Google car, wherever it is."
Okay, Google car, drive me here.
Yeah. Now they're only about the size of like a golf cart, I guess, 2-seaters. These initial runs.
Smaller than a smart car.
Oh well, actually no. Smart cars are about that size.
That's what
Yeah,
they said.
they're about that.
They said it was slightly smaller than a smart car.
Well, I think they're lighter, certainly, but they're definitely more top-heavy, kind of like a spice drop kind of shape, and that's so that lidar system that they have on the roof can spin around and actually see like right where the road is at every corner of the car, unlike the Lexus test vehicles and things like that they're doing with some of the Google Nav stuff. It's an interesting avenue for them to go down. And one reason I wanted to talk about this was because it's not really all about the Google and the self-driving cars. They're the ones that are grabbing all the headlines. But car companies around the world have been working on this steadily. And they're just incrementally putting in these little automated features in production automobiles. So basically, it's one of those, look at the monkey while we put things in your pocket. It's all kind of misdirection. So it's just keep an eye on those new features in the higher end cars, because that's where it's all coming. Yeah.
It is.
To head off any concerns of malfunctioning robots hurtling toward you, they made it look cute and cuddly.
Yeah, so at least it's cute when it's hurtling towards you, not like some of those other cars.
Well, yeah, but really, though, I mean, we're basically driving around half-ton bullets, and which would you rather have at the helm of that half-ton bullet? A person, which we know to be fallible and extremely so, or a incredibly powerful computer with super fast reflexes?
Well, Mike, you bring up an interesting point there. And you can tell by the sound of my voice that I was waiting for somebody to bring that up.
And you know, you got to have a shill in the audience, and I'm happy to serve.
So
in Florida, we know that computers must be able to drive better than some of the drivers around on I-40.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
this is very true.
This is my problem. If the thing drives you, I'm going to fall asleep in the car, and then you got to get up. And you're right there at work, and then you're getting up, and you got head hair, and you're...
No. You text and you Facebook while it's driving you. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
listen to audiobooks.
Do your homework. Do your work. You know, whatever it happens to be.
How come you can't sleep?
Do your makeup.
Oh, you sure could. I know I would.
Oh, yeah, nap time.
Okay, Google car, take me to Jacksonville. That's 400 miles away.
at 25 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're only going 25 miles an hour. Now,
So your commute to work's going to take a little longer.
Yeah,
Might
the
be a little
Federal
bit honky.
Department of Transportation kind of lowers the limitations, the regulations on things that go 25 miles per hour and under. So anything that's in that category is kind of free, just free space. You know, you can do whatever you want with, and that's what they're doing, obviously. So,
Obviously.
but here's the thing. You're being driven around not just by a smart computer, you're being driven around by an algorithm that has to think about everything that's around it, okay, including people. Now, should there be an incident involving running into people or having to choose between running into one person and running into 10 people and possibly killing the driver, or, I'm sorry, not the driver, because you're not driving.
Passenger.
The occupant of the vehicle.
The occupant.
The cruel calculus involved here is that it's going to kill you to save more people.
Yeah.
They've already basically had to say that because it came up.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Well, it should come up. And, I mean, as crappy as that is, shouldn't. I mean, these things happen at an incredible rate with people behind the wheel anyway.
And they generally don't make the right decision at the last moment.
Or they people have a tendency to lock up. Not that a machine won't. There will probably be some point in that algorithm where it just like,
Where the computer loses its mind.
Well,
Yeah.
you hope not. That's where they're doing testing, but I mean, generally there's a 1 or a 0 that will put in place, and it will make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, that decision, what's that decision going to be?
And then who's liable?
And would you have to, you know, since it's Google, would you have to opt into the premium package in order for it not to kill you? or just say, no, go ahead and run over that deer or whatever?
Can you get a Meat Wagon Gold card where everything avoids you?
Dock wagon. Yeah, that's when this.
The Dock Wagon.
That's when you accept the terms and agreements. You accept the terms that you are the most likely one to die in a crash.
Yeah.
I accept that I am a meat popsicle.
That's on page 1,359, section E.
It's in the ULA.
56.
Yeah, it's in the EULA. You didn't read that?
Everybody knows that nobody reads the EULA.
That's right.
Everybody knows that.
Roll accept. Now, if Mr. Watson in the chat room, yes, we have a chat room. Please go out to the website and join the chat room so that you can participate in the show while we're doing it. He was asking, will you be able to drink and drive? Well, you're not driving.
Yeah.
You're physically not driving. You are not in control of the vehicle. So, technically, yes.
They actually discussed that in one of the articles. They had a couple of people who had been on previous tours in their other automated vehicles, and they went in this small car, and then they said, well, next time you're supposed to give us margaritas so we can drink and drive, and then we can text while driving, and we can both be texting and drinking while not driving.
Well,
There's no steering wheel.
Riding along to your destination. Yeah, there's no steering wheel. There's nothing that you can do. Of course,
In that avenue, especially when it comes to getting home from the club on Friday or Saturday night, this is a fantastic thing.
yeah, there's for those of us down here in Florida and the wetlands, we don't have the fancy things that they do out in California and Silicon Valley. There's this program called Uber, which is a basic cab service that you can request from your phone, and they'll just come pick you up wherever you are and take you wherever you need to go.
That's pretty sweet.
This would be the Uber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, if there's just like a cab stand of 100 of these things, and they just, you just kind of say, Google, I'm drunk, I need to go home.
Someone asked, will you be able to drink and drive?
Well, you just talk to them.
Google, drunk pickup. I like it because not
This'll
only is it
bring up.
safe, not only is it safe, but it means that the taxi drivers don't have to deal with your drunk ass.
Well, that's one of the things I'm going to bring up right now. One of the problems here is what happens if you pass out in the automated car on your way home, and you cannot be roused because
you would need the
you
automated
are
ejection seat.
done.
You'd have to have an ejection seat.
Yes.
Right, the car dumps you out on your lawn.
Yep.
That's exactly what has to happen.
Yep.
You are home. I am deducting cash from your Google Wallet. Out. And that would probably be something that would be fantastic at the White House Science Fair, which just turned 4 years old.
Really?
Yeah, it's only 4 years old.
It's only 4 years old, which means that our current president is the only one that thinks that young people can apparently do science anymore.
Why am I not surprised?
Of course, he's also, turned back the clock by putting solar panels back on the White House from when Carter had done that originally, and then
Thank God.
as soon as Reagan was in, they went away. They did at least get recycled. I found out that they were sent to a university, but they really should have just stayed there.
Yeah.
Now, what I was saying about kids doing science, there's a 12-year-old. His name's Peyton Robertson, and he has 3 pending patents. So.
From the Fort Lauderdale school system. That's incredible.
Yeah, I know.
I know, right?
Wow. That's a shot in the dark. What happened there?
He's making
Well,
a little bit.
Genetic lottery happens,
Yeah.
regardless of location. So,
It's
school system can't take all of the credit here.
Well, also he was inspired by his location, by seeing all the flooding and everything from hurricanes and torrential downpours and all that. They one of his patents is on expanding like biodegradable sandbags.
Cool.
Sand. So that's super cool, and he was there at the White House, and of course doing the meet and greet with the president has got to be a fantastic thing for a preteen.
Yeah.
And he's doing cool stuff. I mean, he's actually doing stuff that helps, and sounds like he's really interested in it, and looks like he has more to come.
And he won a trip to Costa Rica this summer? Dang.
He's going to be popular.
It's cool to be a nerd.
Yes.
It's getting there, thank God.
The age of the nerd.
Nerd power, nerd power.
The nerd renaissance.
So,
Powered by Google.
Hey, I welcome our new Google overlords. I've got an Android now. I've totally bought into their whole thing.
It's
Google phone.
It's probably going to happen too. I mean, they're definitely, if any company is going to reach a data saturation point, it's probably going to be Google. Where, the singularity is right around the corner for us.
Yeah.
You know it's over, though. If Google and Apple ever try to merge, you know it's over.
No, I don't think Apple.
Well, the
Now,
trifecta is going to be Google, Apple, and then Facebook.
Yeah.
And then they will literally have a view into everybody's private life, pretty much.
Well, yeah, but that's not what's going. The view into the private life. That's not what's going to turn it into a sentient intelligence.
No.
It might make that sentient intelligence, give up on the entire human race.
Right.
Just saying.
That's true. That's true. It might just give up.
They'll just shut down at some point and say, okay, we give up, or I give up, or
The data centers attach rockets to themselves and leave the Earth behind.
It might just see cats as the actual, dominant life on it.
Probably.
Well,
Yeah. So Obama did announce a $35 million education department competition to help reach his goal of training 100,000 teachers. So
way to go.
we definitely need more teachers out there.
yes.
Because obviously we're not really getting the incentive to become a teacher.
Just need to pay.
Not so great. Right, Ann?
Yeah, it's shit.
Yeah. We need to pay them a lot more, man.
The hours are extraordinary. The pay sucks based on the per hour rate you get to when you consider that they take a lot of work home with them, which most people don't flip and do.
and buy their own supplies.
Yeah.
Which the schools don't provide.
It's a lot of crap.
Yeah, it's ugly.
This is ugly.
One of the I don't know, there was like a teacher appreciation week at my daughter's school, and they were just basically using it as an opportunity to get more supplies. Yeah. That's pretty much how you appreciate the teacher is giving them supplies so they don't have to buy it themselves.
Yeah, that's
fairly pathetic, from a society.
It is.
It is pretty pathetic.
Yeah. I didn't mean it to be that much of a downer, but I guess it is.
It is, man. I mean, anyone who bothers to pay attention knows that the American school system sucks, and it's because of shit like this, and it's really depressing.
Well, it's
just horribly underfunded, and it's horribly underfunded here in Florida, especially because we have a huge retirement community that doesn't see the benefit to themselves in funding education, which is sad.
They don't care. They're a bunch of old people.
Well, they seem to be short-sighted in that the people that will be deciding what to do with their corpses are going to be the ones that are in the education system now.
Yeah, that's someone's not thinking their cunning plan all the way through.
Yeah.
My grandma always said, "What do I care? I'll be dead."
And that's exactly the problem with America.
Yeah, the wise man plants a tree that he will never see grow.
Yes.
I'm not sure who said that, but I like it.
It is a good quote.
So there's at least there's good stuff that at least our current executive administration is looking into fostering more education, and that seems to be a priority, along with the environment and several other things that the Grand Old Party would like to sink horribly, apparently.
Because they'll be dead. They don't care.
They are a bunch of old farts, aren't they?
They are a bunch of old douchebags.
There are young ones in the fold, unfortunately, but they will never go away. Hopefully the ignorant attitude will go away, because parties do shift platforms over time. They just don't admit it.
Yeah, I tried to trace out the last real, shift in that, and it was basically right around the Carter administration. Right in there that the ideology really started to shift. So, when you're thinking Republican, and it's like, well, if you look back in history, there were some really great Republicans. Yes, but if you actually look at the party and what they stood for, they were Democrats.
Yeah.
Technically, by just what the parties stand for now versus then.
Whatever you call yourself doesn't matter. It's what you do that matters.
Yeah. And I found this particularly with my parents, because they're old school Republicans. And I've tried to explain, it's like the Republican that you wish you were doesn't actually exist as a Republican anymore. You're just hanging on to the title. And the title no longer means what you think it means.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. And
yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, Democrats aren't what they were 40, 50 years ago.
Exactly. Now they're basically the Republicans. But again, that's why you get all these folks that are right there in the middle, all the moderates here and the moderates there. Technically, they ought to just kind of switch their letters.
Yeah.
And they're still
moderate.
Middle of the road, yeah.
Have you thought that someday though we're gonna be old geezers and
never
complaining and being a pain in the butt and
my back hurts already.
I'll be a head in a jar.
Buying fruit with a coupon and then returning it. I was from a comedian. I didn't.
Does this happen?
What voodoo is this?
No, that was Futurama.
Yeah, it was Futurama.
That's awesome.
Good.
It was freaking Professor Farnsworth. I'm gonna buy a coupon. I got a coupon to buy some fruit, and I'm gonna stand in line and have everybody behind me to return it. You have to see.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just going to have everything delivered.
Well, that's going to be easy because basically that's what Amazon's already doing now.
No, we're all just going to eat Soylent.
And I hate people, so I don't want to have to stand in line with those human beings. I'm just going to stay home and have shit delivered to me.
Well, that's the irony of Soylent Green. Is you stand in line with people you hate so you can eat people.
But I don't want to eat people I hate. I mean, that would... Well, maybe with sriracha.
Everything's
Like,
better with
Tasty firestorm.
All hail the rooster.
Very different chick. I don't like shopping because I just don't like people. I don't like going out in public. There's always some douchebag out there,
That's
and it's annoying.
You should go at 3 a.m. That's a fantastic shopping experience.
I
All
don't know
the
if I call
best
it.
people are out.
I don't know if I'd call it fantastic. I don't know if it would call it best, but it is certainly an experience, and there are certainly people out there.
If you can call
Especially
them.
if there's a bunch of strip clubs near said Walmart.
Oh, man.
All the folks at last call, and it's like, whoa, why are you wearing so much glitter?
All I can think of is all these people that go to Walmart in their pajamas and they have a big boa constrictor draped around them and freaking drunk, and then there's people that are dressed up like.
Well, wait. Who's drunk? The person or the constrictor?
Both.
Yes.
Both.
Person.
Drunk with power.
Officially, Walmart has a no pets policy. Unofficially, if someone walks in with a boa constrictor, they're gonna say, "Fuck that, he can have it."
Are you going near the snake? No, I'm not going near the snake.
I ain't going near the guy with the snake. No way.
Hit record.
What?
You will feed me to it.
Story of a ninja guy that used to hang out at the library that I worked at, and he wore black, and he was crazy, and they were afraid to approach him, but they had me approach him to tell him, because he was bringing a snake in his backpack into the library, and so they had me go to him and say, "Hey, you can't bring your snake in the library, you know that, right?" And
Yeah, totally. I totally know that. I'm going to do it anyway because you can't stop me.
Basically.
Kind of how it works, sadly.
it was Ninja Ben.
Ninja. No, he actually had a nickname, Ninja Ben.
Yeah.
Ninja Ben.
I have
Is his last name Stalkin? Ninja Ben Stalkin?
pretty crazy stories about, oh my god.
Boom.
Love it, love it. So there's some other stories I really want to get into here.
Tasty news.
Have you ever had something go up on the internet that you really didn't want to be there?
Yes.
Been on the internet for a while now.
Nudity?
Yes, this has happened.
Stuff out there.
You imply by this statement that I have shame, and I tell you are wrong, sir.
Good. Then you don't care about this particular thing. But, a little while ago, back on the 14th, it started to make some real news. A European High Court, which I guess is the Supreme Court for the European Union, which is, I don't know, it's weird. I'm still trying to figure out the whole Europe thing and how the European Union is over all these disparate countries.
I think they're still trying to figure out how the European Union is over it. But
Yeah. It's like, okay, do you use the euro? Okay, you also have to listen to this European High Court, I guess. I don't know. That's how it works in my head. I hope somebody who's there to actually correct that for me. But they have ruled that a person should have the right to be forgotten. Let's let that sink in for a moment, because the implications of that. What's that?
I was talking to this guy at my work about, he was like, oh, that's a Google phone. You know, they know where you're at all times, and then it started this whole paranoia thing, and then he started talking about about the right to know thing, and I don't want to be able to be searched on some Google search engine. Is that what you were talking about?
Kind of, not really.
Kind of.
Basically, there's a douchebag out there who, let's see, what is his name? Mario Gonzalez. Note, he's never ever going to be forgotten now.
Nope, never.
Because he's caused a stink about it.
Mm-hmm.
Douche McDoucherson?
Exactly, yeah. Douchey McDoucherson, Mario Gonzalez. a Spanish citizen, so apparently Spain is part of the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping notes on
I learned something new today.
Anyway, let's not
Keeping it real.
He was displeased that any Google search for his name turned up a 16-year-old report on a real estate auction connected with some old debts. So basically, he had a legal proceeding against him, and had to sell off everything to rectify that. This happens, but it's public record.
Public record.
Yeah.
Any court system website, and you can find a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but of course those court records, well, he was basically saying that, it's like a defamation of character kind of thing, because it's such an old thing. It's like, hey, can't that go away? Well, no, it can't. So Gonzalez
That's
believed,
not how the world works, buddy.
yeah,
If you
Gonzalez believed that it was out of date and irrelevant with respect to him today, and that very well may be the case. The European High Court agreed and ruled that the EU's right to privacy, which is a big thing, we'll look at that later, not tonight, but we'll look at that later, guarantees includes the right to be forgotten. And the court ordered Google to remove links to archived newspaper pages that contained the old information after Gonzalez sued Google and the newspaper in 2010.
But it doesn't say that they have to. It says that they should. There was
No.
There may be an order for that, but it says for future going on, people can ask for their stuff to be removed, and it says that Google should think about it.
Well, Google caved.
Maybe in this case, like I say, this is actually one of the ones I
Well,
read.
I'm sure that they only cave because they already have a workaround.
No,
Yeah.
Which is this is public record on a.
Well, they've had to
Somebody
build a
else's
workaround.
What if
They've
they
had to
did
build a
something to settle the debt or the problem, and it wouldn't have been on the? Wouldn't they have taken it off the court website?
No,
No.
these things stay public record forever.
Public record. Yeah.
That's how it
It's
is.
going to be on the court websites, or at least it's going to be in the microfiche. I mean, and all that's going digital too. And
Because he
all
owed
Google did was had their little spiders go out and scrape the websites for information, and basically cache them, because that's what Google does. You search for something, you find it.
That's Google.
It's a search engine. Oh my gosh! But
Big surprise.
today, Google has launched a service that allows European Union citizens to request the removal of certain links that include their name and which are deemed, quote, inadequate, irrelevant, or no longer relevant, or excessive in relation to the purposes for which they were processed.
except for the CIA.
Well, come on, the NSA already has this guy's information.
Yeah, no, the NSA did the ultimate backdoor.
Yeah, they just siphoned it all off and kept it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah,
They literally Googled Google.
pretty much.
They literally Google cached the internet, everything that happens across it, including this right now.
So the Court of Justice of the European Union, press release number 70-14 in Luxembourg. An internet search engine operator is responsible for the processing that it carries out of personal data which appears on web pages published by third parties. So basically, they're indicating that Google is a content provider. They're almost redefining what the company is and what they do. So what are the implications of this kind of thinking going forward? That's really the meat of the story is not this Mr. Gonzalez person, because really, as Mr. Watson in the chat room said, yeah, we did have to Google him and figure out who he was, so he is basically as irrelevant as the information he wants removed. But it's there now that we have to figure out, do we have the right to be forgotten? Do we have the right to pick and choose the parts of our history that everyone has access to?
Well,
In
no,
the public.
because you know what's going to happen if that suddenly becomes a right? People are going to start expunging really bad things about themselves. Like,
Huh.
I don't want my investors to hear that I embezzled millions of dollars, so I'm going to quash that information. No, you don't get to do that. I don't want my next door neighbors to know that I was convicted of murder. No, you don't get to do that. Plus,
Or that
in
the
the
vicar
end,
in the next village was diddling some children.
yeah, in the
Well-
end, you can't reach into someone else's brain and remove their memories. People know what the fuck happened. If you did bad shit, you need to fucking own up to it.
Okay, in the bottom of this article, there is a number of paragraphs that actually talk to what you're talking about. One of it says, and let's see, Google must respect the request, but can refuse if it has good cause. It says, but the ruling does not say that old information must be deleted. It doesn't even say that Google has to comply with requests. It just says that if a European requests that information come down, Google must respect the request but can refuse it if it has good cause. And they go on to saying, like, old Nazis requesting that their information be taken down so they're not persecuted.
Yeah, no, sorry, buddy, you were a Nazi.
Yeah, the European court said no, that's not going to happen.
So what they're trying to do, what they're setting up Google to do, and this is not something we want Google to do, is be
He's
the
become Winston.
ethics police.
Yeah, no.
You know, is that an ethical thing to do, to expunge data like that could be pertinent in some way?
It absolutely isn't.
Well,
Yeah,
part of this, I think, is growing pains in the information age.
they can't get rid of the information because it's not their information in the first place.
They didn't cause the information to exist. It's not their information. Whoever you are who suddenly you don't want your name to show up on a Google search, you did it. It's not Google's fault. It has nothing to do with them. You fucking did it.
If you were
also
acting
sue
like
the
an
newspaper.
asshole, then it wouldn't be on there.
Exactly.
If you
Right.
screw up your life,
Well, I mean,
it wouldn't be there.
people do make legitimate mistakes, but here's my position on this. We have entered the information age, and pretty much, for all intents and purposes, privacy is gone. I mean, the generation that's growing up now, there's going to be a record of what they did their entire lives on the internet. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, whatever you do, it's going to filter into, I guess, what we'll call the accountability age, where people either get over it and say, oh, you did all this, well, lots of people have. Or employers pass up good employees or what have you.
Or
Why
they-
we should not censor this data when you look up a person, I think, has more to do with making sure the political system has accountability than anything else.
The
Well,
instant you put in a censor bar, someone's going to abuse it, and they're going to use it to take advantage of people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Google has been-
information's a double-edged sword.
Google has been censoring because of the safe search filter. You know, so they already do have implements in place to prevent keywords from being searched on. So basically, they added his name and whatever pertinent information to a heuristic to basically, remove him from the search. So what that little field is, that form for the European Union citizens that want to be forgotten, they're basically going to fill out the information that's going to be put into that filter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically kind of crowdsourcing. It's like, okay, you got a problem with it? Okay, tell us exactly what you want to remove.
Also, like the case where I'm talking about the library I used to work at. It was about freedom of speech, and you could ask them to take off the filter, the internet filter, and we had people coming in there, and they were looking at a bunch of crap that you don't want your kids sitting around, because we would watch the kids like look over the monitors and be looking at whatever guy looking at whatever it was, like.
Well, you know what? That's the parents' responsibility. If you don't watch your fucking kid, that's your damn fault.
Well, all I'm saying is.
The nanny state thing, yeah.
There's a lot of nasty stuff on the internet that nobody should be looking at in a public environment.
Yeah, They shouldn't be looking at it in the public library in front of everybody.
Yeah.
We could then move to New York, and I don't have the story on the rundown, but it's been getting a lot of play in the news lately. The fact that women being topless is not illegal in the city of New York, city and state.
Yeah.
They can walk around.
Well, there's a lot of places in the world actually where women being topless is not illegal, and it's actually commonly accepted in a lot of Europe.
Yeah, and
yes, but
they don't prude things up the same way we do here.
No, but
yes, because America is ridiculous.
Well, let's put it on.
We're just prudish.
Okay, so
Breasts.
we are much more prudish in that we don't want to see sex on TV. We don't want to see genitalia. We don't want body shaming and all that. We want to keep that as far away from the public eye as possible. Now, in Europe, they don't care about that. They have a much better body image, essentially. But what they don't want is violence. They don't want blood on the television at all.
We got blood forever for days and days.
We have made it so where a human body that has 9 pints of blood can somehow put out 50 gallons.
Yeah.
Of blood on the screen.
The interesting thing here is the one thing that is proven more often and by more studies and more conclusively to be truly damaging to someone's psyche, horrific, deplorable violence. That's okay in America, but the instant we start showing the human body, which everyone has one of the two versions, everyone's got one. The instant we start showing that, somehow it's obscene and terrible. I don't fucking understand this.
It is kind of hard to wrap your head around, I didn't even mean to go there. You bastard. You just ruined my. You derailed my.
That are
for you.
psychologically scarring. It's like, I don't know, man. I guess it's just better to look at some dicks and tits than
And ultraviolence?
Yes, a little bit of the old ultraviolence.
Ultraviolence. I love that movie. That movie's so good.
That movie has it all. It's got dicks, it's got tits, and it's got ultraviolence.
Exactly. A little bit of everything.
A Clockwork Orange for everybody if they
Fun
want.
for the whole family? Question
Well,
mark?
No.
No, not fun for the whole family.
It's disturbing. You know what's probably the most disturbing actually about that whole movie? It's not the things that he does or anything. It's when he has like the toothpicks and holding his eyes open and they're doing the brainwashing. That's the most disturbing part. The corrective action that they were taking against him. That's the most disturbing part of the movie.
That someone thought that was okay to do.
Yeah, that's okay. No.
That's not okay.
So, things that are not okay. Apparently, distributing marijuana in Colorado. Okay. Distributing marijuana in Colorado from Colombian cartels. Not okay. And that's
dude, this shit's so good.
Oh man, this is the good stuff, probably. Yeah, but that's when the federal DEA came in and busted up a distributor in Colorado where it is legal to have it. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Can I briefly? What the fuck did he think was going to happen? Just saying.
He thought it was going to be probably.
Getting in bed with Colombian drug lords is never a good idea.
Yeah, but in all likelihood, he was in bed with the Colombian drug lords before he went legit.
And still a bad idea.
Well, he's just keeping the business going, trying to go legit.
He's probably doing just fine, honestly. Just that little tip-off of he's not buying from one of our sources. He's buying from the Colombians. I think really,
not just any Colombians.
Yeah, well, it's probably more than anything. It's a turf war for who's supplying the distributors.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the turf war is going to be versus the United States government, and that's going to get interesting.
And that's where we need to talk about things that are interesting, because we in this country so far, we've got several things that are causing a ruckus. With gay marriage, the Marriage Equality Act, struck down the Defense of Marriage Act and all that BS. Now, the federal government recognizes same-sex unions. Okay?
Excellent.
That's a thing. That's what they have to do now. However, it's still up to the states to decide whether or not the marriage that the federal government recognizes is legal in the state.
And that's where it's all bullshit.
Because of federal supremacy over state rights. Because this is a thing. It's been proven several times in several court cases. If we can go over to the Wikipedia and look. But before we do that, let's look at now. This also it's going to blow up into a much bigger issue because not only do you have the Defense of Marriage stuff going on, which is getting that groundswell. We also have another groundswell that's mirroring it, and that would be the marijuana drug culture and why is this a regulated thing and et cetera, and everybody trying to make it in this, well, let's say, what was it, reefer madness.
Yeah.
The big spooky thing, out there. It's going to kill us all, this killer weed.
It's not, folks. It's really, really not.
Hey, condoms will kill you too. I saw that movie.
Well, we could also, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I mean, it's about as legitimate.
Yeah, it's about as real.
That's rough for me because I have a lot of Italian heritage, and very familiar with tomatoes over here.
Right.
With all the GMO stuff, I mean, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes may not be that far off. I mean,
I know. What's next? Sentient tomatoes?
We don't need to go back over the GMO thing. We've done that multiple times.
I know.
Yeah.
Actually, I did get a note that we apparently missed the boat on that. Of course, that was also from a biologist. So there's only so far I can dig into a subject, but I'll definitely read something if you put it in front of me to correct my misunderstatement, misstatements, whatever.
Misunderstandings.
Yes,
Mr. Understandaments?
we can correct things. That's why I have that little errata section. It's okay. I screwed up here. Here's the fix. Okay, thanks. Keep listening. So what do we think is going to happen here? This is just our chance to just sound off about the way we think things are working.
Well, this whole thing is just he talked about this being a turf war between the drug suppliers, which we know are all drug lords from other countries, because it's all illegal here. So the only business we can get is illegal, and the federal government who brought this upon themselves. If it had been legal, then people would have just grown it, and
Nope.
it would have just been distributed, and it wouldn't be cut with all sorts of dangerous nonsense, because that's what happens when you have an illegal operation involved. And so what does the federal government expect? Yeah, because you were fucking retarded and didn't let people do whatever the hell they want with their own bodies, because you know what? It's their fucking life. If they want to blaze it down the toilet, that's their choice. Yeah, now you're going to have to fight off all these criminal elements because they're the only one, because they have cornered the market in this country because you were retarded, and it's going to be a long uphill battle for you.
Interesting statistic.
Actually, not so much, I don't think, because there actually was a huge swell in domestic growers when this stuff went legal.
So of course there was.
We are actually making a good portion of it here.
Of course there was, but that doesn't. You're not going to dissuade the criminal element. They now have an open market.
The federal government is growing marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing it for medical research for a long time. That's a thing that they do. They've had to, since this is now a regulated thing for Colorado, I'm sure that Colorado has certified growers, and there's various blends and things like that, and how much they can do on site and et cetera, et cetera. It's really a big situation that I would have to call in someone more schooled in that
High times.
particular field. Yeah, I'd have to bring in some high times to figure it
Yeah,
out.
but all those legitimate growers are now edging into the market that was exclusively to illegal sources now. So you don't think they're going to defend that these drug lords are going to defend their profit margin? Hell yeah, they are.
This is only a matter. There's only a matter of time before we have military involvement in like South American countries that are growing pot.
Well, you have to.
Only a matter of time, because that's what we do with resources that people widely like in this country.
Oh, you have to,
Hey, you know what that field of marijuana needs? Agent Orange.
Yeah.
you have to figure there's marijuana growers on the stock market now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes it somewhat legitimate.
It's farming.
It's a commodity. If it can be traded on the stock market like orange juice futures, then yeah.
Orange juice.
And you know what? I don't know a lot about weed, but from what I understand, it's basically a weed. It's hard to kill. It can grow just about anywhere. So it's going to be one of the more stable futures, most likely.
It'll grow. It's just they want it to grow better. That's why you have marijuana growers. Now, something that's interesting, a recent Pew Research Center survey found that 61% of Republicans support medical marijuana. And the number is much higher for independents and Democrats. That is a big shift, isn't it?
And meanwhile, the GOP is claiming that, of course, drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay.
It just proves yet again how out of touch they are with everything. Even their own voter base.
It's just that the marijuana community hadn't ponied up the right cash. I got this money laying around. Could be a campaign contribution. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's do this.
The thing with stoners, though, is that instead of buying a campaign, they're just going to buy more weed.
Wouldn't you?
Or snack.
Well, that's why they needed the organized growers in this country, which they're starting to get now that they have illegal in some states, and those guys are like, hey, we got all this cash laying around here,
Get a job.
and we really want to expand east.
The wedge is in the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be something to watch.
Just head east, man. Head east.
Head east. Come on over.
So what's the to get a job at one of those places? What is like the criteria? What do you got to have? What do you got to have for experience?
I imagine you'd probably have to actually have like a clean record, probably.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't want to hire somebody with a police record.
I would hope so.
Vegetables in a garden.
Yeah, you might have to have a green thumb. And maybe a lot of tattoos. I don't know.
When you work in there, do you like smell like weed when you leave? And then there's like the
no, the smell that people associate with the weed smoking smell smells nothing like the cannabis plant itself before it's burned.
Yeah, that's
which makes a lot of sense because there's plastic smells nothing like burnt plastic.
Exactly, right?
Tobacco isn't half bad before it burns.
Exactly. As soon as you release the blue smoke from the silicon chips.
Don't release the magic blue smoke.
Ooh, the magic smoke. Don't let the magic smoke out of the chips.
It's a totally different animal, really.
Oh, and will they eventually now legalize hemp since they're legalizing marijuana?
Please.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of stuff that can be made out of hemp.
Man, yes,
I care
please.
nothing about smoking marijuana, but definitely I want the hemp industry to take off because it's just it. Being that it's a weed, it's so sustainable.
There was one thing I shared on Facebook this past week about hempcrete, concrete made with hemp that's stronger than concrete.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
And lasts longer than concrete.
Clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, the uses of this plant are ridiculous.
Not legally.
Why can't they power cars and stuff with it?
They can.
They're working on it.
No, they can. You can. Hemp oil is something that has already.
That's a thing.
Well, no, before the big oil cartels and everything came in and basically shoved everything out of the way, hemp oil products were used to fuel vehicles in the heady days of industrialization in America.
Yeah.
It was, of course, this was the same time that you also had, you had biodiesel, you had hemp, you had steam engines, you had, all sorts of things on the road, just crazy, weird contraptions.
Yeah, back before the oil cartels got their monopoly.
Yeah, but there is something to be said for standardization, in that you can go anywhere in the country and you will find a place to fuel your vehicle.
Well, it's
Yes, but then the monopoly on fuel has driven them to do nothing but spike prices for no goddamn reason, and we're paying for nothing because there's no competition.
No, there's a reason, Michael. They've got to put more diamonds on their cars.
Exactly, and that's bullshit.
It's because we all have to drive our own cars and we can't freaking ride our bikes to work and stuff like that.
It doesn't help that the oil cartels also destroyed public transportation, because back in the day, every major city had an amazing public transportation system, and it was all through lobbyists from big oil that destroyed it, and car manufacturers, of course.
Yeah.
And Goodyear and Firestone. Yep.
Yeah.
Basically, the entire
automotive
industry as a whole has kind of...
The asphalt industry loves it.
Roads, yeah.
I mean, I can kind of give you a little bit of background into that since where I work. There's a part of gas tax that goes towards roadways, and it was established when, I don't even know, in the 50s or 60s. And at that time, cars didn't get very good gas mileage, so the taxes they were getting a lot of taxes to redo the roads, but now that the cars are more fuel efficient, they haven't changed that tax rate, and that's why we have so many toll roads, is because nobody's addressed that, and we don't have toll roads like a lot of the roads up north. They're falling apart. Basically, they're waiting for these bridges to collapse. And that's what people don't understand. It's part of the gas tax.
Well, if you travel out of state, of course, you're going to see varying prices. In California, it's ridiculously expensive. In Georgia, it's ridiculously low. So between the two, what has happened? Because they're getting the same product from the same hole in the ground somewhere. So what's the difference? The difference is usually the state, the city, the state, the county, and then the city all tax on top of that. They're all getting a cut of that as it's going into your car.
And we basically have one of the better quality roads. We have to realize that we have really good roads in the state overall. And I think, I don't know, we're not the most heavily taxed, but everywhere else, some places have high taxes and have bad roads, and some places have low taxes and good roads. But there's California, Chicago, bad roads.
There's always a lot of graft up at the top where they're skimming it off and putting it.
It depends on a lot of factors. Like, we don't have the same issues with road expansion and contraction that they have way up in the north.
Yeah.
Which just totally wrecks the roads.
Well,
And just really, we don't see the kind of damage on our roads here in Florida that they get up there. It is absurd.
Well, yeah, but we still have all these overpasses and bridges and whatnot that are, over their lifespan and ready to collapse at any minute, and yet they're not being repaired. And there are roads all over the place. I know you guys have seen them, even though we have. And this is what boggles my mind, that we supposedly here in the state of Florida have one of the best road systems there is, and it's in the best condition in the country. And yet there are absolutely fucking shit roads all over the place, and we're paying out our ass in taxes and tolls. So where the fuck is this money going? Why are our roads so shit?
Okay, well, it's because it's not going to the Department of Transportation.
It's also because we don't have quickcrete or hempcrete to lay the roads down.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we're missing some vital components there. 'Cause concrete in general lasts, I think, at least 3 or 4 times. I'm not an engineer. Please don't, do your own research. At least 3 or 4 times longer than asphalt.
Correct.
So on the roads that switch from asphalt to concrete, the concrete one's always a little bit taller Have you ever noticed that? It's a little bit higher because it hasn't been compacted down and needs to be resurfaced as often. But it's also that much more expensive to put out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but lower the price by changing the material that goes in it to something that's easily obtainable.
But here in the state of Florida, we have no state income tax. In the states up in the Northeast, where the gas prices are still higher, they also do have state taxes. So the government is getting funded in that fashion. Where down here in Florida with Rick Scott,
Dick Scott.
No, he's Skeletor.
That's right, I said it.
Governor
He's Skeletor, and I can't wait for the day when he finally takes off his itchy human mask and reveals his plans to the world to retake Castle Grayskull. But
I always thought that he was just going to pull it off and be like the Red Skull, you know.
Yeah.
Same difference, really.
Pretty much. Yeah, just colorize him.
Yeah, Rick Scott is also Voldemort. So I mean, depending which way you want to go, you have.
I've seen the pictures, and he's got too much nose for Voldemort.
Yeah.
Way too much nose.
Okay.
He's
fake.
definitely like if you look at a picture of him and you look at a picture of Skeletor, you're like, yep.
That shit's uncanny, man.
It is. Really is. Cartoons foretold the future.
It is frightening, yeah. But that's where that disconnect comes in, because the state government has to be funded some way, and it will take it from any reserve that it needs to. Since we don't have that state income tax, they have to pull it from there. So
and then, if they don't run it right...
Well, we suffer in education, we suffer in the roads because of that, we suffer in a lot of areas because we don't have that state income tax. And I'm not saying that I now suddenly want to pay state income tax. No, I'm perfectly fine with not. But I would like to see the funds that do go in get managed a little bit better. I think that'd be a great idea.
Meh.
Maybe change it up to having some alternative materials, whether they be solar panel roadways or hemp fiber concrete, or I don't care. We definitely need more light rail. We need more public transportation. You know, these things need to happen just to move people around. But Florida's got this urban sprawl thing going, and we have problems. We have problems doing things like that.
Yeah.
I read today that Sunrail thing, the ridership has surpassed what they thought it was going to be in December already.
Oh, yeah.
This doesn't...
So
yeah. People have been waiting.
Pretty good.
Have they started charging for that yet?
Yeah, they started about the middle of the month, I think.
Because they were doing...
There's a Sunrail right around the corner from me. And that parking lot is
for free to
always full.
Thing, yeah. And then they were expecting that the massive surge of people was going to cut down pretty heavily when they started charging. Well, apparently it's worth it to people.
Yeah.
From here in Sanford, the straightest shot to Orlando is I-4, also known
and nobody wants to drive on I-4.
Hell's Highway.
Yeah. Fuck I-4.
And they have more lanes.
Like, I think I'd rather run on the side of the road than drive on I-4.
Seriously,
it might be faster.
Might be.
we will take as much as 20-30 minutes out of our way to go a different route to avoid I-4
and
wherever
it'll
we're
still
going.
be quicker.
And it'll be better because fuck I-4.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about Orlando for those folks that only know it as Mickey Mouse's house. With Orlando, you could be 5 miles from your destination and still take 45 minutes to get there.
Yep.
That's a real easy thing to do here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
to California.
Yeah, that sounds like California.
And it's it's like California, but kind of not, because we don't have the population to justify that. It's just a crap road.
Yeah, just whoever designed the road system in this state is fucking on crack.
Well, we don't have the population on its own, but we do have the enormous tourist population.
We do have an enormous tourist population.
All year we've got people coming in.
They've had record
but here's
out of Disney.
Here's where Florida and California differs, because I've driven in LAX during rush hour traffic, and that
LA's bad.
It's bad.
LA's awful.
It doesn't stop. they keep
What?
it going. It might be a slow crawl, but they keep it going.
Yeah, one key point, they actually control the flow on the on-ramps. They
Yeah.
have lights on the on-ramps that turn red after every car, and they wait for a certain amount of time, and then they turn green for that one car to go to get on the highway. And
it makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
That must be new. I've never heard of that before.
That's been around.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been over there for 5 or 6 years, and that was old. Not old, but it was there when I was there 5 or 6 or 7 years ago.
Well, it's still
done in
relatively.
Virginia, it's done in
The past decade or two, yeah.
done a lot in the Northeast, and it's done in those higher traffic areas because they have to regulate it somehow. I saw it in Texas, like around the Houston and Dallas areas, and definitely out in California I saw it. But still, even with that,
We saw it in
Just put it-
Georgia.
just put it in Georgia,
we
too.
were driving up there. We saw.
yeah, around Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's fairly new. That's
Oh,
like-
Atlanta's highway is such a nightmare.
Yeah, always try to bypass Atlanta, try to bypass Orlando if you can. You know, but there is no bypass for Orlando. You have to go through the middle. Oh, well, that's enough local traffic news.
Yay.
News for people. Terribly sorry about that, everyone. So let's talk about more politics. Oh, jeez.
Oh dear.
Okay, so you know how the House has various committees on various things. So one of my favorite topics is the House Science Committee because it's run by a bunch of nitwits that hate science.
Ironic.
Isn't it ironic? Yeah. The House Science Committee has held more hearings on aliens than on climate change.
Aliens, man.
That's because
Controlling
climate
the
change is a
world.
lie straight from the pits of hell.
And that would be Paul Brown from Georgia, running uncontested, by the way. Yeah, he's a real yeah, I don't like him. And
Who
then, of
put
course,
him on the science committee? He should be on philosophy or religion committee or something.
I don't think they have those.
He should.
That's
be there.
what their science committee is. It's just a
By
misnomer.
him.
Yeah, they ought to wear like robes and pointy hats or something, just to not the white ones. No, I'm talking like cardinal robes.
No.
Or even better yet, if they're going to be ridiculous, and let's face it, they are ridiculous. They might as well go whole hog and have the blue with the like golden stars all over them. They might as well just go full wizard.
Because then the Scientologists will come over and say something.
Yeah.
Well, fuck those guys. I don't care about them. They're
No,
crazy.
I really think this is actually kind of hilarious. That, you know what? Climate change is a lie from the pit of hell, but we're going to talk about aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
so-
explicitly states pretty much don't exist if you believe the Bible view of things. That we are alone in the universe. God loves us. That is it.
Well, remember that the Holy Scriptures can be used to justify any opinion whatsoever.
Of course
So-
they can.
Since 2013, the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology has held 15 hearings on space exploration alone, at least 3 of which have involved the search for extraterrestrial life. By comparison, the committee has held just 2 hearings devoted to climate change.
That's because we know we're all going to die and the planet's not going anywhere.
Well, the thing is that they all they're the climate change deniers. They
Yeah.
say, no, we cannot we can't do anything to God's greener.
No, sorry, not true. I used to think that way. I used to, and my position was actually from a scientific. I had a sort of scientific. Obviously, I didn't understand enough, but I had a scientific backing for it. I thought to myself, we are so very small, and what we do is so very small in the scale of the world, and just how much planet there is, you know.
Oh, it's not that
Yeah,
much.
but no
But I mean-
individual snowflake blames itself for the avalanche.
But it was a matter of a failure to understand scale, and I thought to myself, there's no way that we puny humans could possibly hurt this big monstrous thing that's been going for millions of years.
I think you're
No,
honest.
that's not true. No, that's not true.
The sense of scale. I think you're really onto something there.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely they'll look into a telescope and look at the sparkling lights and wonder what's out there, but they won't bother to see the things that are here because the sense of scale is still disturbed, and they don't think that they can have an effect on something that's happening in Russia.
Yeah, because human beings don't understand things that are really big compared to ourselves. It's just we don't.
There's a neat series of GIF animations from satellite footage of the Earth showing stuff that we've done. Like, we have mining operations that literally carve the tops off of mountains, and over the course of 30 years, you'll see a landscape literally change as we just mine across it. And it's just kind of absurd. Like, wow, we're doing stuff you can see from space.
Yeah, the deforestation of the rainforest.
Serious changes to the landscape.
You got to be careful with those because some of those are just straight up bullshit. I saw this one it went all over Tumblr, and it got like 1,000 notes before someone who was in the field pointed out what's actually going on. Supposedly it was a satellite photo of like North America, and one of them was all green, and it was supposedly America like 30 years ago. And then the next one, it was all brown, and it was America today, and it was supposed to be how much we were
in the fall.
Yeah, but it was how much we're destroying the environment, and somebody who's actually an ecologist said no, that's just what the planet does yearly, because every winter everything dies and it's not green anymore, and then every summer everything is in bloom again and it's all green. That happens all the time, so you really got to be careful what you're looking at.
And you'd have to, again, this is all about skew. You can skew the data to say pretty much whatever you'd like, but if you look at it carefully and you prune out the data in the correct fashion, where you're comparing the same thing to the same thing, season to season, okay, this is the change, not over the entire year run. Of course, we're terrible at series too. We're also terrible at probabilities. Just the human mind just can't really grapple those things. That's why we have math to do these things for us.
We are not that far evolved.
Okay, on the point of scale, I don't know how many people have seen the picture of the world at night with the lights.
Oh yeah, the light sources are definitely a very good indicator of.
Yeah, you can see the coverage of people on the planet is getting fairly close to complete. I mean, there are a lot of spots that aren't, but. Percentage
that's
rising.
That's also not the complete picture in and of itself either, because you notice on those very same images that North Korea is like a blackout. So there are places with lots of people and not a lot of light at night.
Yeah.
And more in the case of North Korea anyway, it's a case of information control. They don't let people do that. They don't let people know. They will do whatever they can. They will do whatever they can
to run the lights at night.
Well, North Korea is a very unique place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could probably do an entire show just about them.
Well, of the only necrocy that's actually present on the planet, where they literally worship a dead guy.
Yeah.
As the president.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But hey, we do ridiculous things. We're people. So back into Congress just for a moment, because I really, there's nothing to say about how much further can you go on this other than to say, please work on the things that you could actually work on.
Things that are relevant to us here on good old planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. If you're that curious about things like this, go ahead and give funding to that guy over at SETI that came in and said, you need to be working on climate change. He came in and told them, you need to be working on climate change, not this. I found that really, it's like...
That's pretty funny.
That's the guy that's doing this project. You're asking him, and he's telling you, no, look, the possibilities here are much smaller than the possibilities of actually screwing up the planet, because we've got the science here. Go talk to these guys, okay? Sure, go ahead and keep funding me. That's fine. That's all you need to do. what more is there to say? Work on the things that are actually present that you could actually have some real results with. Oh wait,
That will affect everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, a Texas congressman. Of course, Texas is, they've got lots of congressmen because they've got a lot of people. But this one is unique because he was 91 years old, and he did not.
World War II vet.
He did not step down. He was finally beat. He was ousted in the primary runoff, which is no small feat because he's obviously been there forever.
Yeah.
He's also the last of the World War II veterans as members of Congress. So we're now, well, we've lost that mind share, I suppose.
End of an era.
Well, you know what? All I have to say to this is thank you for your service, sir. I do respect you for being willing to die for our country. Get the fuck out of office. You're too old. Your ideas are too old. We need young, new ideas.
Not necessarily, because some new ideas really suck.
Well,
we need a mixture of the
have
two,
new
but
ideas than bad ideas, and almost all old ideas, especially from this era, no longer apply to, modern America. America is changing, and these people who are stuck in their philosophies that are 60 years old, they need to go away.
90.
Yes, but yet he is 90 years old. His philosophies are not.
He first ran for political office in 1949 as a Democrat, and he actually changed his party to Republican in 1980.
The dark side.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. He became a Republican in 2004. As the party politics had shifted.
Yeah.
So he is, well, right now he's living proof of that
shift
where it's shifting. Yeah. But he's been in office for a really, really long time. I'm not going to
really long time.
But so let's think about this. What about term limits? We were talking earlier a few episodes back about possible term limits for the Supreme Court justices, which we were thinking it had been presented perhaps 12 years for them. I think that's probably adequate. Now for a Congress seat where you're reelected every 2, how many of those 2-year terms do you think is
enough?
It was too much.
3.
It's only 6 years?
Yep.
At the pace of government, do you think they could actually get anything done in that amount of time?
They would have to.
Well, they would have to start learning to. Because the problem is that the pace of government now is set by the fact that there are these dynasties that have been in political office forever and ever.
Good point.
And they never go anywhere, and because they have rigged the system through gerrymandering and intimidation of the polls and all this nonsense that they do, they are guaranteed to get reelected because they've gamed the system, because the people who write the whole election setup are the people who get elected, because somehow we let them get away with that. So and it's circulating right now. There's this huge push to get signatures from the people to have the people bring a constitutional amendment and say we want term limits. And I have signed every single one of those that has come across my desk, because if the people do it, it's written in the Constitution that if enough of the voters say to do it, it doesn't matter what the government says, it has to be done. So, and if we finally have these term limits, then you know what? These guys aren't going to be able to do what the grand old party is doing, for example, right now, which is sit on their ass and veto everything, regardless of whether it's a good idea or not, simply because there's a Democrat in office. They can't do that shit anymore because they only have a limited time to make their mark and get done what they want to get done, and then they're fucking out. And that needs to happen yesterday.
It'd be interesting. I think maybe just because we've already, we're kind of going with a more, a different kind of scale on many things where, the president can have his 8 years in office. I think maybe 8 years would probably be a reasonable number.
Well, see, I specifically said it as
Some
less
of them
than
are
that.
really good.
I specifically said it less than that so that they don't overlap. You can't have people who are in Congress for the exact term as whatever president that it may happen to be with their party or the opposing party. No, there's always going to be a switch. It's always going to keep the government dynamic.
Personally, I would put it at 12, and I'll tell you why. I think it's long enough for you to get done whatever agenda if you're going to try to move up to the next level of government or not. You'll have done what you set out to do or not done what you set out to do in your terms in Congress, but it's also long enough that there are some older salty people in the ranks to kind of usher in the new crowd. So it's not just constantly this new crowd that doesn't know how to get along with each other. There's a more natural progression, an easier passing of the torch, if you will.
Yeah, because after that 12 years, or after the 6 years, because people are not used to that kind of change-up, there very well may be just everyone being a new face. And literally gridlock because nobody knows how it works.
Yeah.
Though,
then
at that point, to that point, a lot of the people there don't really know how it works either, as most of the bills are actually drafted by the lobbyists, and the lobbyists are eternal.
They know the system. They know how it works.
That should be unconstitutional. There should not be a corporation that writes laws. You know what I mean?
Favoring their particular industry, yeah.
Yeah.
Where they also are the #1 campaign contributors to all these guys.
Irony. It's all irony.
I wonder how all that could work.
This isn't quid pro quo corruption at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I think
I asked him to do this thing, and then I gave him a bunch of money. That's not corruption.
no, it's
Business.
business. Yeah, it's just business.
Search criteria off of Google. If you got enough money, they can make that happen for you.
Yeah, there you go. Bring
Like,
that right back around. You have a right to be forgotten as long as we have the right to ask you for $1 billion.
Yeah. If you buy the first 10,000 of our smart cars, you can be
Right.
Exactly. You know what? Actually, just to ring it back to that, because I thought of something. The best way to override something like that search result, his only entry when you search for his name was that thing. You know what this guy needs to do? Get a freaking web page. Write a blog. Get some other positive links out there for him.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to push that bad entry down to the 3rd page.
I can't believe that that's the only thing that came up for this guy.
That's what he was saying. And it was in 2010.
Maybe in relation to himself specifically, but I find it hard to imagine that he's the only Mario Gonzalez in all of Spain.
In all of the land.
In all the land.
That's kind of like Smith, isn't it?
It was the only thing he got caught for.
Yeah, it was the only blemish on his record. So,
Right?
Otherwise, perfect life, perfect existence. But
no, Facebook is proving that everybody has dirt,
yeah,
and it's never gonna go away.
Yeah.
Ever again.
And most people are posting their own dirt on there, so.
Well, thank you, Representative Ralph Hall, for your decades of service to the fair state of Texas.
Yeah, he's been replaced by a Tea Party conservative.
Yeah, that's kind of sad in and of itself.
Teabagger.
Yeah, the teabaggers. Well, I don't know about that. I won't go that far. You can.
Well, let's see if they actually get some of their agenda fulfilled, and then see what that does to the country, and then we can decide whether or not to call them teabaggers.
Oh, one of the comments was, Tea Partiers can drop dead. They ran against a 91-year-old man and still needed a runoff to win. Big deal.
Oh.
Okay, well, that I got nothing else on that one. That's a good place to leave that story. So we don't have anything else of real interest. Well, no, we hit that. Yeah, okay. So, down to a PSA. Speaking of the 91-year-old man, what's he going to do in retirement? Oh wait, he's got the golden parachute.
He's covered.
So many years, and he doesn't have many years left, so he's
Right.
fine. But what about those people who are hitting the now average retirement age of 62 in the United States, where the life expectancy on average is 78? So he was already well past his prime, So we got several golden years to contend with there, where in theory we're not working, or you might have forced retirement.
In theory, we're not working.
Yeah.
73% of those individuals who do not have an IRA or a 401k, they have less than $1,000 in savings.
It's not going to buy a whole lot of Alpo.
No. Nope.
So if you don't want to be eating dog food and trying to get by on the average meager $1,294 a month from Social Security, you might want to actually consider retirement. So this is basically just a PSA for those of you that are thinking about living until you're 78 or older. I hope that that's everyone in the audience.
I plan to live forever, of course.
I only want to live long enough to live forever.
I think our generation will do that, and I think that they'll be able to do that in part because of a lot of other things, but
Yeah,
3D printed parts for your body.
there's a lot of bits. Yeah, a lot of bits that have to come together for that.
They're working it out.
Like in these retirement communities, you can buy these really inexpensive condos and stuff for like $30,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what your situation is when you reach that age, and
Well, a lot of folks that reach that age are also in their death throes, basically, where they have all the health problems that they haven't had for the rest of their life, they're having in their golden years.
and that's where Medicaid and Medicare really step up.
Yeah, and they have to.
Until the Tea Party does away with it, and then we'd call them two baggers.
Yeah. I just can't wait for those folks to get old and then realize what they've done to themselves.
Well,
Yep.
The
Not
problem,
that they ever will, because they're that selfish and self-absorbed.
Yeah, they don't care.
It's like Ouroboros, the snake.
Ouroboros.
Yeah, Ouroboros,
Ouroboros.
the snake that eats its own tail. It's like, oh, you're gonna go get away with Medicaid, and you just fucked yourself over.
It is a lot like that. It is the snake eating its tail. That's fair.
Indeed.
So I hope that everybody has at least taken advantage. The simplest thing that you can do is if you work someplace that does a 401k, that does a certain percentage match, at least you're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't at least put in enough to where your employer will do the match.
Yeah.
You got to do that much at least. If that's the only thing you do, you should do it. It's free money.
If your employer matches 100% at 3%, it's like a 3% raise.
Yeah. You can't use it for a long time, but you know what?
You got it. It will be your money.
Yeah, and then that's 6% of your salary because you've put in 3%, they've put in 3%. So that's good. It's good return on a small investment, and it's done before tax. Of course, tax rules will probably.
Well, it can also be done after tax. There are 401ks that allow that. And then you don't.
It can be, but I wouldn't recommend things like that simply because of how volatile things like that are. So you may have lost money, and then they'll end up retaxing you again later.
Yeah.
Because they keep changing those
You're
lines.
not allowed to. The whole Roth thing is you're paying your tax now. So
You're paying your taxes up front.
That's if that's a Roth, because there's so many different types of IRAs. So obviously, I am not a financial analyst. This is not my gig. This is only a public service announcement to get out there and figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Not necessarily what do you want to be when you grow up, but what do you want to do when you've grown old.
live off the dividend, hot stock.
Well, there was a lot of people I know who had that plan, and that plan crashed in 2007 along with everything else. So,
No.
living off of dividends of stock,
Oh.
Well, but now,
not pot plants.
but now if they were smart, they stayed in it and didn't sell, and they're back getting.
Yeah,
Coming back.
if you pulled out, you just got. That's,
Oh, sorry, what
And
was that?
pulled out.
Yeah,
Phrasing
don't
boom.
pull out too soon. That's the key.
well, that's what it is. You take you do it out of fear because you're scared.
No, I'm afraid. No, I can't pull out. Oh.
Phrasing
Oh.
You're absolutely on the right track.
Face is turning red.
We are all 100% with you.
All right, Jesus. God.
Awesome. Okay, so most 401ks are managed through like Fidelity.com, but there's a bunch of websites out there that, you know, they basically do the Google model where they're advertising for something and offer you a fantastic service in return. So there's Mint.com is owned by Intuit, the makers of Quicken, and they'll integrate with your bank account and kind of tell you where your spending's going, so you can kind of figure out, oh my God, I spent way too much on burgers and fries this month, and I need to spend a little bit less on that and maybe put that money somewhere else.
There's another one. Envelopes is another budgeting software online.
Okay.
Yeah,
Another one just like Mint is personalcapital.com. Those two I've used. I went away from Mint and I went over to Personal Capital. They both also have apps too, so you can kind of check in and see what's going on. Personal Capital also integrates with your 401k, so you can kind of see. Actually, no, they both do. So you can see your entire net worth in like just a snapshot to see how you're doing. It's kind of negative when you also add your mortgage in there because that really takes it off.
if you look at your net worth, you're going to think you have all this loads of money when you're.
Not if you had your mortgage.
Yeah, if
Well,
you have a mortgage, no, it's going to be a real humbling experience.
If you start crying.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I wept a little bit.
I promote Fidelity. I'm a Fidelity member, and I haven't had any problems. It does pretty good, 401k or personal. They both do.
Yeah, exactly. And both Mint and Personal Capital, they also look at like who you're going through for your investments and will offer, you know, hey, you might have been spending too much on the actual transaction rate here. You know, if you had a lot of transaction, a lot of splits, and you know, changing where you're putting your investments, they'll say, hey, you know, you're going to save money if you go over here with this people. So that's how they monetize that.
This month you went through $85 in milk.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of milk.
What do you guys think about like deferred comp? I mean, obviously a match type of 401k thing is probably the best idea, but what if you don't have that option? Would you do a deferred comp?
I'm not familiar with deferred comp.
I'm not familiar with that either.
I am not a financial analyst because I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Investing, but it's pre-tax, or is it post? It's pre-tax.
Yeah, it's I think it's when the company basically takes some money out and invests it for you, but it's okay.
It's like a 401k, but not.
But purely stock?
It's a different. I don't know if it's actually. It's probably more mutual fund type.
No.
We'll have to research this, and
I would
maybe we'll have a financial episode.
As far as I'm concerned, y'all are speaking Greek, so.
Well, if there's anything that you can do with your employer that has the potential to give you more in the long term, you should probably jump on it. But definitely, any amount that you put away in an IRA or Roth IRA or any of these annuities that'll reinvest and then reinvest that and then reinvest that, and as they continue to accumulate money, that's the only way you're going to have enough to live on when you retire, is to put it away and not touch it. Of course, also, life events happen, and sometimes you can pull out from your pull out again.
No, don't do it too early.
Yeah, you can early withdraw from your IRA, and say you just had a a pipe burst or something, and you've flooded your entire house and have to replace everything. You know, there are things like that that maybe insurance isn't going to cover it, so then you have to dip into any financial resource you have. So you can do things like that if you absolutely have to. So it's your own personal safety net. Whether you use it now or later, it's good to have such a thing.
Yeah.
But I think we're all planning on living forever, so we need to plan like we're going to live forever.
But
Yeah.
along with the living forever, we need the whole memory crystal chips in our heads so we can actually remember stuff.
Well, they're
Oh,
starting
we're going.
to,
Yeah,
they're starting to figure out more and more about the brain. So
Yeah.
as they unravel that mystery, I'm sure there will be things that input data direct, if you will.
Damn tinfoil causes Alzheimer's.
What causes Alzheimer's?
Aluminum.
Aluminum foil?
Aluminum.
That's what
Aluminium?
Aluminum.
Yeah.
the newest thing, apparently.
No, that's been
Aluminum.
Aluminum does not cause Alzheimer's. If you have a tendency to get Alzheimer's because there's a genetic component, excessive exposure to aluminum can increase
Exacerbate?
it. Yes, it can exacerbate the condition because aluminum is not it's not something that's really found on the surface of the planet.
But
It
what
just
about
doesn't
eating a lot of baked goods?
We don't see when we were evolving, when we
Nice
were still
segue back to pot there with the baked goods. Good job.
when we were still you know, when we were still inventing the wheel and fire was this brand new thing, there wasn't a whole lot of aluminum around. So when the human body gets excessive exposure to it, weird things happen. Just like anything else,
But
if you
I-
get too much of something, bad shit happens.
What
But I
about
like
when-
smelling good.
When
I
your
like
grandma makes a
deodorant.
casserole and they put the tinfoil on the top,
What?
you get
No,
like-
they're talking about excessive exposure. You have to be doing this all the goddamn time. I'm talking about someone who
Maybe your
who
grandma
is,
makes a lot of pot roasts with aluminum foil.
no, we're talking about someone who is is exposed on an industrial level.
No, let's talk about
Adam.
antiperspirants that you're putting directly on sensitive parts of your body every day.
You talking about boobies?
Those have aluminum in them.
Well,
Yeah. Okay, but how's it going to get in your body? This stuff does not go through your skin, people.
Well, actually, no, it does. Your skin.
Your skin absorbs a lot of stuff, but not necessarily heavy metals.
Your skin does not absorb a lot of stuff. There are some things that will go right through it, but your skin is very effective armor.
I understand. I'm just saying that's the claims. Those are the
We have a lot of things that go through our skin.
what about that birth control patch, man? You're placing your whole future on this path on being absorbed into somebody's skin.
medical patches. There's a lot of that.
Yes, and all of those are very specifically tailored to go through the skin. They have to engineer that specially.
But there's plenty of things. You know, I believe before zinc oxide, you know, for sunscreen, I think aluminum oxide also was one of those items that was used, and it was applied directly to skin. So there are many things that can go straight through your skin and cause a lot of problems.
Oh my god, dude, if you use the patch, no one worries about pulling out.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
He had to do it.
I had to.
Oh, I thought that was
I didn't want to just
in the chat.
that out there.
Oh,
There's shenanigans going on in our chat log here.
no, you guys got to be putting that into the IRC. I'm not looking at the Google chat. No.
I thought that was just gonna. I thought I'd just throw that out there and just leave it.
No, man, it's got to go out to the audience. Come on.
Wow. That was
Listen out.
Very well then. Very well then.
But
repost. Every post is a reposted repost.
Repeat,
Pause.
repeat. Yes.
I
So
think I'm gonna have to get that put on a shirt.
There.
well, that's been derailed completely. So let's just go into entertainment and reviews and picks.
Dracula.
Alrighty.
So there was a. This is basically just to say, hey, read Bram Stoker's Dracula because it's an awesome novel. But the scholar who linked them, linked Dracula and Vlad the Impaler, he just recently died. His name is Radu Florshev. Fleshu?
Rescue?
Le rescue?
We are horrible English-speaking Americans. We can't pronounce things. Sorry.
R-U, I think Radu is probably right. Lorescu. Fleshu? My French,
Probably Florescu.
my French is
Because
terrible.
they actually pronounce more of their letters than we do.
And then there's the British that actually add more syllables, like aluminium.
Aluminium? You say it with a stiff upper lip.
In so many situations, I prefer the Queen's English to American because American sucks.
Did you guys hear that story of that girl that wrote? She used the periodic table of elements to write.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what? No, I have not heard this.
Yeah, she used
She's not the first one to do it, but she's...
elements to write in somebody's yearbook.
No,
it's her quote.
A
It was her
cryptic message. Oh, was it? And it was something about. It was she was quoting like some Biggie Small song about get money and get hoes and.
You know, it's like get money, F bitches,
Yeah.
but she used
kind of thing.
periodic table.
This one got a little trouble because apparently people are actually hip to it now.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty. You know, you got to know your stuff.
It's creative once upon a time, but now it's just way too easy.
Yeah.
I can't give the person that got punished.
She's not the first person to do that.
No. First one, yeah, that's awesome. Good on you.
First one was awesome. But it is interesting. It's a neat way to do things.
Yearbooks are kind of boring, so I don't blame them for
Super boring.
What about like doing it in Morse code, or we got to think of something better?
Morse code. And now Sad Moon is rise.
You have to know the difference between beep and boop.
I probably just cursed somebody out. I don't even know. So anyway, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now it's a little bit more in the news just because of Radio Fleshu. I might have got it right that time. But he died at 88. So item 2, David, you've got something.
Item 2, this is a book I read a long time ago, and it's kind of a funny story, speaking of libraries. I checked this one out when I was a kid, and I was reading it in the library, checked out the book, Mom brings me home, and I finished the book about the time we were pulling into the driveway, because I was that engrossed in it. I have never read a book this fast in my life, but it was a really neat book, and it's actually kind of appropriate today to what's going on today with the drone technology and whatnot, because one of the characters in the book actually operates a futuristic style drone where he's using a VR setup and he's actually got arms on the drone. He can grab things, he can throw stuff, he can operate weapons and whatnot, and he does it all from the comfort of some military base here in the States using a satellite to beam directions to this little drone that's in a very faraway land. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting dealing with the effects of killing people remotely and how it differs from video games to a certain degree. And the psychology, it goes a little bit into the psychology of that. I thought it was a really interesting book, even though it's a work of fiction. I think it's appropriate to today's world to take a look at it.
Recently?
It was from '94.
Oh, okay.
What was it? What's the title, actually?
What's the name? I don't see it.
Oh, Allies by Patricia Anthony, April 1st. Oh, it was an April Fool's book. No, 1994.
By a chick?
Patricia Anthony? Yeah, I imagine that would probably be a feminine name. You never know, though.
Never.
You never know.
Cold.
Chicks, right? Sci-fi stuff?
Yeah, chicks write sci-fi stuff, and it's good.
They do.
We have a neighbor, lives behind my parents, and he is an Air Force psychologist, and he's been spending an awful lot of time with our current drone operators and trying to sort them out. Because these poor guys, they're basically living and breathing in another time zone, shooting people, surveilling people, doing whatever they need to do. And
they're in this tiny little sweat box.
Yeah. And then they get off their shift and have to contend with, you know what, I probably just blew up I don't know how many people. And a world away. What are the ramifications of that? So these poor guys, they got it weird.
Yeah.
They got it weird. So this book really touches on that, I think.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not to the same degree as what we're really doing today, but
not to spoil anything, but he actually it's a fairly large robot and it runs on tank treads, and he actually runs over a group of guys with this thing at some point in the book.
You had me robot on tank treads.
Yeah, I'm sold.
But he also has to, after the adrenaline rushes over and it's mop-up time, and he's kind of looking around and starting to take in all the interactions that's coming over the microphones and whatnot from the robot. People are moaning they're not all the way dead after all the stuff he does.
Don't put killing machines. Don't do that. Yeah. We don't want to hear the screams.
What happens? Does he finish them off or something, or?
Have to read the book.
I mean,
I have to read the book.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing. Like Andy said, they're dealing with all this psychology about it, because regardless of how much separation you put into it, human beings we are social creatures. We are not hardwired to kill each other. It is actually against our instincts. And anytime you make us do it, it tends to fuck people up. That's why post-traumatic stress disorder is a thing. That's why people returning home from war need to deal with the fact that they have killed human beings. And this whole thing that, modern entertainment is desensitizing us to violence is bullshit.
It does desensitize us a wee bit. But it probably desensitizes us more just to our fellow human. Not necessarily even to the violence, but just to the person maybe sitting next to you. I think there's some of those memes out there. It's like, look, the zombie apocalypse, and it's just like a bunch of teens looking down at their cell phones. We have a big problem with the disconnect between interpersonal relationships these days, and hopefully that changes a little bit, but. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be VR goggles, and we're all going to have to live in.
I think it's going to ironically be technology you'll bring us full circle around to.
Yeah. See, I have to disagree with you. I think that I love the fact that we are so interconnected now, and even though we may not be talking to each other, we can communicate with people, half a world away in an instant. I like that. I think that's good for us.
It's funny when we're all on the Facebook in the same room and we're not talking and we're sitting next to each other and we say, "I feel so social."
But we are talking to each other.
Yeah.
It's one of the. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the Blue Man Group show, but there's a funny thing that they do in there, and they have this one song, and they put up these little skit type things in the background are going on while they're presenting their songs, and one of them is the Internet Coffee Shop, and on the scrolling sign it says, "Welcome to the Internet Coffee Shop, where you'll sit next to people you do not know and talk to people who are not there."
Yeah, that pretty much.
That is our world.
That is our world.
Oh, it's funny.
Well, it's kind of weird because right now I'm looking at all of you.
Yeah.
We're not here in the same place, but I'm talking to you.
Chris and shit.
I'm talking about books. The Ready Player One.
Yeah.
That has a world.
Hey, don't take my pick for next week, man.
Yeah.
But I'm bummed.
No. That is a fantastic book.
We discussed this a couple weeks ago too, so it's not the first time we discussed it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about books a lot.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of getting books done, wicked fast.
Yes.
Talk about this thing. What is it? Spritzing?
Yes. Okay. Yes. The name is weird, and you're gonna giggle. But Spritz. It is a program by which you can learn to speed read. Yes. Anyone. You can learn to speed read. If you go search for these guys, and we'll put the link in the page, of course, like we always do.
In case you're lazy, it's spritzinc.com. SPRITZINC.
People are gonna think you guys get some kind of some advertising.
I would love to get some advertising dollars.
We'd love that, but we don't.
If you want to threaten to pay us,
yes, please threaten to pay me.
Absolutely.
You were saying spritz, and then I looked up and I saw that quote: "If you use the patch, no one worries about pulling out."
See, this is why I said you're gonna laugh talking about the name, but no, go to this website, and right on their homepage they have the demo of the program, and just do it. It
It will turn you into a robot.
follow the little prompts, learn to use their program, and you will be amazed. I started their demo, and in like 15 minutes, I was reading at 700 words per minute. Most people do about 200, and they have this program where they have broken down words into basically the chunks that your brain dissects and understands, and they just flash it across the screen. Your eyes don't move. Your eyes are at a fixed point, and you just watch as the words fly by, and yes, you will understand it and you will retain it, and it's amazing.
Assimilate.
I have a question regarding this. After doing it, did you notice that you could pick up a normal book and read faster?
Absolutely. I've been trying to learn. I've been learning various speed reading techniques for as long as I could, because I read so damn much, and I always want to read faster. And yeah, I have noticed an improvement in my normal reading speed.
Notice because you basically ingest one word at a time, but it throws them at you quicker. Your brain can handle a lot.
Yeah.
One time, but it's the motion, your eyes moving across a page takes other effort. So if you're just being fed one word at a time with the appropriate letter or whatever highlighted that your brain will understand, you understand it. You may feel like you're falling behind, but you end up understanding it even though you think you may not.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that every person who picks up speed reading has to deal with, is that initial panic of, because when we learn to read, we read out loud to ourselves when we're kids, and then we stop reading out loud and we have just the dialogue in our head. We have an internal reread, and you have to teach yourself to not do that, because that slows you down. Because you will be thinking the words at the speed that you can speak them, which is obviously very limited. And like he said, your brain is capable of so much more. So you have to learn to get over the panic of being faster than your internal monologue, and then just zone into it and go. And it's amazing.
Now, what are they presenting in the program? Can you feed it a book?
Well, right now the program, they haven't gotten a whole lot processed yet. They have investors and they have people feeding them things that are like, yes, turn this into a feed that your program can run. Right now, all they have on their website anyway is a demo, and and literally their demo teaches you about how it works as you are doing it. So by the time you have gotten up to 700 words a minute, you have learned the science behind what they're doing.
What they are doing, they're creating the software behind the scenes, and they're selling it to other app manufacturers, app programmers, to put it in other pieces of software. That's their goal right now. They're just trying to get it out there, and they've got people who are investing in it and stuff. Yeah, there's not many, but there's a few
Arigato, Mr. Roboto.
I believe has lost her mind.
Someone get her a beer.
Man, if this is my initial translation into a robot, I will take it. Because reading at 700 words a minute is awesome.
And is it past your bedtime?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. Well, then we should probably wrap up. That's an awesome pick. I'm definitely going to have to look at that, because I'm admittedly a slow reader. I am always trying to really process it as I'm reading it. I've never gotten past that inner voice thing where I can text.
Yeah.
I'm the exact same way.
Listening to it in my head, I've never been able to get past that. And I deal with just a lot of text on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, for this show, that would be really helpful.
Wall of text.
Yeah, just wall of text. It's like, no, I'm not reading that. My brain just shut off.
We need to plug some of our game emails into that.
Yeah, that could really be helpful.
It really could.
Helpful. So if you two need to speed up your reading, then definitely go check out spritzinc.com. SPRITZINC.com for wicked fast and awesome reading. So that is the show, guys.
Rock on.
It's a productive show.
I think we did a lot, and I think I did screw up the audio, so I'm actually going to have to splice things in.
Awesome.
But that's okay because I'm recording on multiple streams. So that's just one of those things. I had to restart about 30 minutes in or something like that. Yeah, these things happen, and just roll with the punches.
Now my hand is still functional?
Yeah, at the time that I wrote that, Dawn was saying something, and you were like waving your hand around on the screen. I was like, "What's going on?
What is going on?"
It still works. Just want to let you know.
I thought it was
interpretive dance.
Not sure if you're tripping balls or just checking out functionality, but
Did you have LSD gummy bears?
or too much.
We've done not LSD gummy bears, but the ones that you soak in rum. You could probably do that for vodka.
We did rum.
they do grow.
Probably do them in bourbon, but you got to do them over a couple days.
There you go, bourbon THC gummy bears.
Rum and
Whoa.
Call them groovy bears.
Oh, party! No, those would be the true gummy bear juice. Yeah, gummy bears bouncing here and there.
Oh, that cartoon! I missed that cartoon.
All right, so that's a wrap, guys. Do you have anything to add? Anything to plug? Any awesome stuff that we left out that you want to just slip in here at the end?
Nah, I'll save it for next week.
No, I think it's time. I think now is the time to pull out. Well,
Yeah.
Oh God, where you're still.
I had to slip that in there. Oh,
One last time, phrasing, boom.
And that's
phrasing.
and that.
Don said you should invest in the medical marijuana pot stock now while it's real low, because that's going to go high.
That could be your retirement.
Whoa! Oh, it's gonna go high. That's the call.
Okay. That's
It's derp o'clock here on ORly Radio.
I can't take you people anywhere.
Nope.
Least of all, onto the internet.
Okay, I've got a new ending here, so I'm going to play it, and that'll be it.
Sweet.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Ciao.
Good night, peoples.
That's it for us tonight. We hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we've enjoyed making it. This is the part where I beg for audience participation. Head over to ORlyRadio.com. That's ORLY radio.com and participate in the live stream. Chat with us during the show on our IRC, and if you have topic ideas, email them to us at ORlyRadioPodcast@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail at 470-222-ORLY6759. And post and vote on stories on our subreddit at reddit.com/r/ORlyRadio. And if that wasn't enough, we're all over the web. Check out our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Tumblr, our Google+, and even video of the show archived at youtube.com. Consider leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, or if you really love us, consider help offset the cost of the show by contributing on our Patreon page, accessible through the Help Us link on our homepage. We really can't thank you enough for spending time with us. Until next time, this has been ORly Radio, part of the Common Services Network. Music Rocket and Pangea provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incomptech.com. And that's it.
It's in the can.
That was like a total Sprockets theme thing. I like that.
That was awesome.
It's got like the 80s. Talking about Duma Arigato, Mr. Roboto, you got that going on.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
awesome, man.
And of course, as soon as people start hearing that little music, they'll know they can just stop the track.
Yeah.
Of course, hopefully that would be the diehard fan that already knows everything, and then just keep going. But hey.
Hopefully. Wait, we have fans? What?
we have people that are listening. In fact, one of them just popped up and said hi.
Crazy.
Blink. Apparently, I need to mute those other alerts anyway. But that's okay because it's done. Yay!
It's in the can.
Alrighty.
It's
What
always
are they listening on?
What's that?
I said, what are they listening on? Are they on Justin TV or something?
Yeah, I think they're on Justin TV. That's the only live stream that's going out, so they're getting live video and audio, or at least live enough. Yeah.
We're sorry.
Yes.